So I know some of you already have core values, and we're also going to do a couple of little extra things, and I wasn't sure we're going to be able to get to them, but this size group, we should be able to do it with no problem whatsoever. And that's really talking about what kind of culture looks like, which is a little different than normal. And people are getting crushed right now with hiring and retention. Sharon, I don't know, how are you guys doing with that?
We are having a really tough time because it's not just a lack of people being available, but that want to work, but tradespeople. We have a
right.
very big shortage.
Right. So I'm not, John, you probably have a dearth of candidates, I would imagine. I mean, it's such an incredible market for it's not an employer's market right now, that's for sure. It's an employee market.
It's easy for me, you know, I don't have any problem retaining my people. They pay better than anybody in the country. But we don't, let's see, velocity of movement hasn't really slowed. People are still moving. There's you know, there's upward pressure on price for salaries for sure. First question we get from almost every level is, can I work from home?
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of the very,
and remind me to bring that up at the end, because I have a slide that, you know, this is all about core values and culture and all that kind of stuff. But that stuff, there's other things these days that are becoming much more important. Well, I shouldn't say more important, but I would say very important in terms of retention and hiring. Yeah. So I'm going to get through this as quickly as I can. If we can be efficient and quicker, great. But the goal is always quality, to make sure you guys get what you want out of this presentation. So because there's only 5 of us here, what is your goal today individually around the room? Because no matter what, even if you have core values and that part's not as valuable to you, we should be able to hit everybody's expectation here with this many people. Sharon, what are you trying to get out of this? What is your goal?
The goal for me is trying to market within the company. We've recently had a consultant come in that we spoke to that interviewed all of our employees, and he had found that we have an internal marketing problem. We do a lot of marketing outside of the company, and we need to start doing more internal marketing. So I think trying to find the definition for our company culture to hone in more on the marketing, I think, is what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Okay, great. Marie?
Yeah, I mean, we're still a relatively small company. I just think this topic isn't something I spend enough time on. I happen to think our culture is very good right now because we went totally remote. We have unlimited vacation. We have core values like the think like an owner. We talk about it at every meeting. I've actually seen a lot more commitment this year than I have in the past, and putting people in the right seat is really important. So, yeah, I just think I don't want to be caught off guard by something. So, you know, the fact that COVID has happened, I mean, I think I'm keeping people a little longer because maybe they don't think that something else is out there, but I also don't want to be, I want to make sure that we're providing everything that would keep good people, you know, at the company.
Got it. John?
So I want to see how culture, or you talk about culture and core values together, because I don't have the core values defined, and I want to be thinking about what's my culture and how does that help shape my core values.
Okay, so you're kind of at the square one on that, so we'll make sure you get to where you need to go. Tanya?
For me, it's probably just, you know, we do have established core values. We've had them for a couple of years now, and we love them, and everybody in the company really lives by them and owns them, which is great. I would like to be able to kind of incorporate that a little more externally with our clients and having them be aware, because it's going to be huge as far as selling. We want to be working with clients that align with our core values as well, not just internally, but externally.
Okay. All right. So we're going to try and get something for each one of you. And if we miss anything, then we'll do experience shares around the room, where I might go to some external resources that we have. So let's dive in. And I'm glad you guys all came. It's exciting. Like I said, I've done the topic before, but we did change around a little bit. So our why, we are the Cruise Consulting Group. Our goal is to help entrepreneurs and their teams live their ideal lives. We are a consulting business that helps entrepreneurs increase. We focus extremely, we are very, very finitely focused on revenue, net margin, and the value of people's businesses that we work with. So we actually measure that stuff on a monthly basis. We get everybody together. We look at every single person's business on a screen, and we try and make sure everybody's heading in the right direction. That is our accountability internally. Our target market is small to medium-sized businesses. Our goal over time is to become the Deloitte for SMBs. And that is me pre-COVID. I had more hair. I can't look at it anymore. Don't look at that picture. So I'm the president and founder of this company. I do own a company also called CE Painting. I got a partner in that. It's a commercial painting company. It's pretty large amongst those kinds of businesses. We work with very large projects, big GCs across the East Coast. And we work in big buildings, so we do projects for like big hotels and all that kind of stuff. And it's a great business. And I just sold actually a company I've owned for years called Collegiate Entrepreneurs Painting Company. We've taught 1,200 college kids how to run businesses in the past 20 years. And we've had about, I think, something like 9,000 employees during that time frame. So I've had a lot of people that have worked for me. Right now, in terms of FTEs and part-time people, I think I have close to 100 and some employees at this right now. I also have been an EOS implementer. I've done over 600 sessions days of EOS. EOS is going through a lot of changes right now, but I've been an EOS implementer and done that for, like I said, over 600 days, just myself personally. We built a proven process in our company that we went and we're actually fine tuning this right now. It's actually down to 10. So this is our old version. If you come to future webinars, you're going to see that this is actually shrinking. But no matter what, we think that implementing a business operating system is the first part of that. And then we think these are the big components you need to really run a successful business. You got to have a strong recruiting function. There you are, John, right at the front. We think having that going at all times is really crucial. You got to have a strong finance, strategy, sales, marketing, employee customer engagement, technology, professional development, project management, compliance, personal well-being, wealth management, and M&A. So we do a lot of this stuff as a consulting firm. Some of it we do through partners, some of it we do with our own team. But we want to make sure that every company we work with goes through this journey. So yes, for a lot of our companies, we work with our business operating system and we start there. And for a lot of companies you work with, we honestly start with other places, i.e. finance and marketing, and then sometimes we still end back with that business operating system. So let's go into company culture. So for those of you, I know most of you to some degree, some of your clients, some of you that was known for a long time. So I'll give you the biggest aha I had around company culture. It changed the way I viewed business. Actually, it's one of the biggest ahas I've ever had. I've been lucky enough to be in a program called the Entrepreneur Masters Program, which is part of EO. Some of you are in EO, and they have this program, and it's a tough program to get into. I got lucky. I got into it years ago, and basically 65 people from around the world, companies of all different sizes, from smaller, well, not a lot of smaller businesses, but companies that are up to about $500 million. From, I think we had 40 countries in my group. We get together for 4 days, once a year, for 3 years, and we learn everything there is to know about how to really scale your business. And we learn it from some of the top business people in the world. And we actually, we were lucky, and the US people were lucky, we actually did it in Dedham, right outside MIT. But it's a phenomenal immersion in what it means for people to run a great company. And the biggest thing I learned, the first year and into the second year, they would bring in all these big CEOs, a lot of them you would recognize. And what we realized, and the joke became that all of them basically said the same thing, which was, you have to have an amazing culture internally. And if you have the right culture and you hire the right people and you run your company against your culture, you're going to be successful. And as you scale, as your company gets bigger, it becomes one of the only things that actually does matter. There's a couple things that go along with core values that I'm going to go over towards the end that are not typically associated with culture that we think are extremely important. But these companies, you see these larger businesses, they're running their entire company off core values, because at a certain scale, that's all you can do. Once you get past 20, 30 employees, it really becomes about core values. And I spend most of my day when running my business focusing on that and making sure our people are the right fits. So to have a strong culture, you got to have core values, you have to have clear communication, and you have to have openness and honesty. And those things aren't easy. So let's keep going. So our company's actually recently built another operating system that we call Growth. We're actually going to do an official announcement and roll out on that on June 14th. That one we will push to be a big webinar. But we work with about 60 companies right now in all different industries. We have a team of 6 consultants, I think 20-ish full-time employees. And we built a system that we think really addresses what our companies and what our clients need. And our growth operating system is focused on 4 things. And of course, the first one is people. The other 3, which I'm not going to go into today, are people, operations, strategy, and finance. So we think if you get those 4 things, you're in really good shape. But for people, it comes down to the right people that are in the right seats at the right time. Now, by time, which you might not have heard before, I mean the time of where your organization is now or where your organization might be in the future. So when we build these, for some of you, if you're using EOS, which we've done forever, you're going to use the term accountability chart, or if you're using some of the system, it's organizational chart, we call it a role map inside this system. But we care about the right people in the right seats for where your business is right now. And then I think all of you are trying to grow. We care about you knowing what that looks like a year from now. What does that look like 2 years from now? And for our clients, we're very focused on that. Like for Pauline, for your company, I'm asking your consultant on a regular basis, where are they now? Where are they trying to go to? And what does that company look like then in terms of seats? How is it different? Because if you don't have your evolution, you're going to have an issue. So we focus on right people, right seats for what the company's trying to accomplish at that time. So everything starts with your company roadmap, or if you're using scaling up, it's a 1-page plan. If you're using EOS, it's a VTO. On our growth system, we call it the company roadmap. And everything starts at the top, what we call the 6 W's. We haven't shown anybody some of this stuff. Well, most of our clients have seen it, but not everybody. This is all new stuff. So they focus on number 1, who we are as a company. That's our core values. Number 6, why, or the second one, why we do it. The third thing, what we do for a living, which amazingly a lot of people can't answer. I don't know why I'm amazed. I couldn't either for a long time. Who we help, who our actual target market is. And then one that is not part of today, but is extremely important. Why should people actually use us other than the fact that we think we're just great at it? Or if that's the case, you know, how do we measure that? So what is our actual value proposition? And then how do we earn money? What is our revenue model? So that's all part of strategy and culture combined there. But as you can see, the very first thing we care about is core values. That's the essence of everything. So who we are, why we do it, what we do, who we help, why us, and ways we earn. But today we're going to focus on who we are. If you guys have any questions, by the way, any time to stop me. So core values, this is all basic stuff that's been around since the beginning of anybody writing business books. And it's become cliche. People talk about it all the time. And when you're doing it right, it's actually not cliche. It's extremely well socialized, and it accomplishes a few key things. When I work in your company, if I go to work in your business, or if your clients work with your business, they should feel what your company feels like, and that is really what your core values are. So they are 3 to 7 guiding principles for your business. They don't usually change over time. Sometimes they do, although they may need refinement from time to time. But when you get them right, they tend to be right. We just changed one of the values in our consulting business after working with it for a couple of years, but that's, you know, not as 100% common as you might think. Clear core values. So what they are designed to do is attract like-minded people, and they're designed to identify those that don't fit. You've heard the expression hire slowly and fire quickly. I will tell you, we absolutely love our employees, and we'll get to that in a few minutes, but we are aggressive about those 2 things. If you work in our business, if we have an issue, we're going to try and help you, we're going to support you, we're going to love you. But if you don't live our core values, eventually we are definitely going to make sure you find a place where you're going to be very successful someplace else. So what core values are not? So a couple of you have at least a couple of you have heard this already because you've been through all this. But this is extremely important because people get confused on this. What they are not is they are not aspirational. And the reason is because if you're actually going to be hiring and firing and reviewing and rewarding people, they can't be things that you're aspiring to because otherwise you're going to have to fire everybody. So they have to be things that you actually are. And people struggle with that because they say, well, I want to be something else. And I say, well, you're not right now. Maybe you can be over time, but you're just not that thing. So they can't be aspirational. They also shouldn't be permission to play. They shouldn't be. There are some exceptions. Like if you're incredible at being whatever, permission to play, something like integrity. So I think, Donnie, do you guys have integrity as a value or something similar to it?
No, we don't have integrity.
That's right, you don't, because it's permission to play. Thank you, Tanya. You may go back on mute. I thought you might have, because in your space, I could actually potentially see it. Because you have people in your space that do not always have integrity, and integrity is an extremely important thing. So sometimes you can have permission to play if your industry is wrought with people who don't have that. So, but usually it's a no, no, no. And it can't be accidental, okay? Accidental means that you just discovered that after doing this thing forever, it became who you are. Like in our business, the consulting business, we happen to be really good at details but honestly, it's because we have no freaking choice. It is not who we are. In fact, I'm the opposite. But because of my business, that's what I'm forced to be. So it's not a core value. It just happens to be accidental to our business. So remember these things. This, by the way, is Lencioni stuff, I believe. Can't be aspirational, can't be permission to play, cannot be accidental. And we'll use that as a test in just a minute. Here are some examples. These are from the EOS. If you're an EOS client, you've probably seen some of these. Clients' needs, first always, a complete wow experience, a special place to be, cutting edge knowledge, we are the experts. That's an example. I'm going to tell you ours in a minute. Randall Industries, collaboration, enthusiastic energy, TNH is not working. Wish we hadn't used this example. This one's terrible. This one's terrible because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't even know. This is terrible. All right, no, Kristen, take this out. Here you go. She'll watch the recording. Professional ground services. We do whatever it takes in every situation. We have fun, we're passionate, and we have integrity. Okay, so you'll notice other than the one in the middle, and I'm joking saying it's terrible. If it works for them, then it's fantastic. And I'm sure it's an amazing company. But for the most part, one of the key things about core values is they have to be memorized and lived at all times. So when we work with companies, we're always focusing on scale. So if you work with us, our firm, or even if you don't, if you're just running your own business, we really want you, if you're trying to grow, like I think all of you are, we want you to always think about how you build a scalable business. And there's a difference between building a regular business and building a scalable business. And part of building a scalable business is about things being memorable. You guys, are you sending me chats right now? Who's sending me chats? Oh, Sharon's got a big issue. Oh, come back if you can. Come back. All right. Omar, if you're sending me chats in a 4-person room, you raise your hand. Sharon, come back if you can, or stay on mute if you can. So if you want to stay on mute, that's fine. That'd be even better. So we want to be scalable, want to be memorable.
All right.
All right. Now, here are ours. So in the consulting business, we have 3 companies in the consulting business. Our core values are number 1, work the plan. Number 2, help first. 3, your business is our business. And 4, enjoy the ride. We are militant about our core values. We hire and fire off of them regularly. We're brutal about it. We are a very loving company. If you worked with our team, you would say, wow, this is a close group. I love my people just below my family, honestly. But we are militant about our core values. If you don't live them, we call you out instantly, and we'll try and help you. We'll try and work with you, but if we can't get there, we're not going to work with you long. And if you're crushing it on our core values, we're going to talk about that ad nauseum. So work the plan, help first. Your business is our business, and enjoy the ride. Help first is probably our biggest, and actually, if I think about the order, it is number 1. Help first is who we are as a company. If you ever notice in our company, we have a lot of policies that you may notice if you interact with us. We don't sell clients anything if they don't need it. We don't sell them more of something than they need it. We try and do all webinars and everything we do beyond our regular business at no cost. We try and help as much as we can at no cost. We believe in helping people whether they're our client or not. and we believe in helping our clients extra wherever we possibly can. So help first, these are things that guide your business, and our clients as a whole, hopefully see those things when they work with us. So let's talk about how to build these things. So we're showing you this from the perspective of too bad Sharon's not here. It's a funny picture of Jay. So we're showing you from the perspective of we're assuming we're never going to work together. I mean, Tanya, I know we did this, eons ago, but we're assuming that we're never going to work together. So I want you to, we wrote this from the perspective of here's how you do it without us, okay? And it's a simple exercise, and we're gonna do it in a second. And for those of you that have these things already, you can share them. I know Tanya does, but it's a 5-step process. So I think we'll probably send you this deck if you want it at the end, but I would take notes if you can. First one's pretty simple. Have each member of your leadership team. I would get your leadership team together. If you don't have a leadership team, get like 3 or 4 people together in the same room. It's real simple. People that you think are the best leaders in your business, or if it's a small business, you can use 2 people or 3 people. But have each member of your leadership team list 3 people first from your organization who you think are just amazing. They're great role models to everybody. They're the people that you say, this person is amazing. Write down 3 people. So that's the first thing you want to do. And we'll do this in a minute. We'll just do a quick.
Can they be some aspects of them amazing, other aspects you'd like to change?
That's a great question.
For instance, my highest producer works the plan.
All right.
He's a little challenging to team up with, right? He's very pointed in the way he works, and he doesn't necessarily like other people touching his stuff.
Yeah. So I've learned to not overthink this exercise. That's a good question. I've learned to not overthink this exercise. I would honestly pick 2 or 3 people that you think are just amazing, period.
Okay.
Whatever your version of that is. And I work with companies where their version of amazing, I look at them like, that's amazing to you. They don't talk, they don't do anything, but to them, they're amazing. It was whatever they need them for, or whoever their personality is. Okay, so 3 people who in your organization you think are amazing role models to others. Go ahead and do it. You might as well do it right now. I'll put the results on the board if you want to in a few minutes, but go ahead and write them down. If you've already done this, you don't have to, but write down 3 people that you think are absolutely amazing role models in your business. If you don't have 3 people in your business that are amazing, 1, that's a problem. We'll give you a number at the end to call because you're screwed up. I'm kidding. If you don't have them in your business because you're too small or because maybe you're screwed up, I've been there, then pick people externally, maybe other people that you've met. And I'll do it myself, actually. I've done this for a long time. I'll do it myself. Okay. All right, so you write the names down. So just imagine your team doing this. This is stupid simple stuff. I do this with companies in 2 hours. The whole thing done. I do it as workshops. Step 2. Go over the list and identify the strongest characteristics they exemplify. Identify attributes or traits that put them as their top choice. It makes them your top choices. So just write them down. Write down 1 or 2 words. What is it that you think makes these people amazing? Now, this is not meant to be, it's meant to be you. It's your version of this. So don't think to yourself, well, somebody else might not like them. Doesn't matter. It's your core values. It's about who you are. There's no right or wrong. There are companies that are not great to do business out there, but that doesn't mean they're not living their core values. It's about who you are. So write down a short list that identifies the strongest characteristics that those people have. Take a minute and write those down. The EOS statement here, which is great, is they say something to the effect of if you had 100 of these people, you could take over the world. These are just amazing people in your organization. What traits do they have? It should not be you either. Hopefully you live your core values, but it should not be you. This is exciting. If you wrote down me, I think that's a good choice. This is
Nice.
a joke. It's Friday. 7 o'clock we're telling you. This shit is funny, trust me. 7:30. All right. And then the next thing, now once again, I want you visualizing doing this with your teams. If you do this with your teams, by the way, and you get this and do these 5 steps I'm going to show you, and you think, I don't know if that's good or not, email me. We'll figure it out. Somebody will help you. Step 3. Go back over that same list. Usually at this point, you have a list of maybe 10, 12. So when you're doing this with your team, you're going to have 10, 12, 15 things on the board. And you should do it with your team. It's fun. Team members love this stuff. So you're at your list of 10, 12, 15 things. I'm going to go over that list. Circle the ones that you think are truly important. Like you say, that one is a given. Cross out the ones that aren't. And to combine those that are similar. So you're looking to try and figure out what's the theme. So I do this exercise with companies. If I do it with a bigger company, i.e. Tanya's company, if I got 10 people in the room or 9 people in the room, that's a lot. But if I do that, we're going to have 35 things on the board at this point in time. If you do it with 5 people, you might have 20 things on the board at this time. So what I tend to do in that situation is, generally speaking, if the company is a good company, it's kind of like that game, you know, like the pictures you see with the dots and you got to find the picture inside of it. That's what this is like. You want to look at these things and say, what is emerging out of this? And I usually can see 3 or 4 or 5 categories that are important to that team. So you do that exercise, circle the ones that are important, cross out the ones that aren't, combine those that are similar. And then through group discussions and debate with your team, identify the values which you think are core. Which ones are really core? You should at this point start to feel them. You should look at the board and say, yep, that's us, that's us. And ultimately your goal is to end this with a list of 3 to 7 values. I tend to think that 3, if they're really good, can be a good number. I think 4 is awesome, honestly. 5 tends to get difficult to remember. And 7, I've never met a company to memorize all 7 values unless it is a acronym. If you get an acronym, it makes things easier. I have a company I worked with a couple of days ago, huge company. I think it's 400, 500 employees, something like that. I think their acronym is great. And they talk about great employees all the time. And they nailed it because, you know, that's 5. And I don't like 5, but I love 5 for them because it's great, literally great. They talk about what makes a great employee, and they have these 5 things. And even I had them memorized by the middle of the day. So if you can get away with that, great. But once again, your goal here is memorization so you can achieve scale with this. And then you want to start to really test them out. And you can adjust them where necessary and start using with your leadership team over the next 30 days to see what actually sticks. So there's a testing period. And in a few minutes, I'm going to tell you how to actually use these things in your company. But there's a testing period, and it's about 30 days. And for some teams, it can be longer. So when you work with us, we work with you, and then 30 days later, we socialize and we say what worked, what didn't work. So you want to do that. You want to put a line in the sand and say, what's working here? What's not working? And that's a good way for you to really see if you're on track. If you're not on track after 30 days, do the exercise again in brief. Well, it's actually, I'll make it even simpler. Take a look at your list again. Which ones of those that you have do you absolutely love? Which ones in question? And then play with it. The VDR test I'll show you in just a minute. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to this slide because there's only one, and requirement is a strong word, so it's not necessarily a requirement, but there's only one thing here that you really have got to keep in mind. And that is that at least one of these values should be some kind of execution value, something execution related. Okay, so ours is work the plan. Tanya, you must have one of these. What's your execute value that gauges execution?
It's kind of hard to say. honestly. I'm not sure we have one looking at it. Maybe the build great relationships, probably.
What are yours?
Work with high standards, build great relationships,
Yeah.
be prepared, and enjoy it.
Okay. Your first one.
High
Your
standards.
first one is your execution. Work with high standards.
Yeah.
Because you can't, if they're not getting results, you would say you're not working with high standards. You need to have something around that that says you have to perform here. You have to perform. So I've seen them in all different ways, and that one works fine. Because you're going to extrapolate these values and use them, but you need to have something around having some kind of execution. Okay, so that's the only thing that's actually pseudo required here. All right, so how do you use these things? All right, we're going to make sure that what we do internally is that we're going to hire, we're going to fire, and we're going to review and reward against these core values. Okay, it's crucial. We're going to hire, fire, and review and reward against the core values. So one, we're going to use them to find the right people.
Can I ask you, interrupt you 1 second, Eric?
Dude,
I already did, so I am doing it.
it's okay.
So I say that the mission of Broadreach is to save our clients valuable time. And my team has wrapped their heads around that. They talk about it in new business development meetings, and we usually poke a little fun at ourselves and say this is going to sound a little trite, but this is really who we are and what we live by. Is we're here to save our clients valuable time, and has a number of different meanings, but ultimately that's why we're here and that's what we're doing for you. And we do it in a lot of different ways, and et cetera, but really that boils down why we're doing what we're doing and what its impact is to you. And I don't think that's a core value, but it feels really important to.
So that likely slots into being a value proposition, actually.
Okay.
So that value proposition slider, I mean, I could spend days on that one. That's probably something that is a value to why you'd use Broadreach, actually.
Yeah, right.
So that's a value proposition. So I would say if that's true, I would want you to sit in your elevator pitch from a strategic standpoint. So I was working with you, or I want you to think about what is special about you guys. So that's an example of something that Broadreach does, and I'd want to measure that internally. How can we measure this? How can we measure people against this internally in some kind of scorecard? And then you advertise that externally so clients can feel it. And then you market it. That's a different story. That's what that likely is. It can link to a core value though. It might. So when you do this exercise, you might say, yeah, but it links to this core value this person has over here. All right.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay.
You need this is an encore presentation, this thing, because people want to see it. Core values, we will hit strategy. I promise you. It's a big thing. Yeah. So that's strategy. I don't want to erase that question. That's too exciting for me. So I want to move on to this. This is exciting too. It's just different. This is all about people. Okay. So it's just people.
Yeah.
I would say this, you would need to make sure you have the right people who could execute that. That's for certain. So there might be traits that the people need to have to achieve that. So for hiring, we're trying to find the right people. Now, in a smaller organization, they can sometimes tend to use more for the firing, the reviewing, the rewarding, especially when you first start using them, because you're trying to clean house a little bit, right? You're trying to clean house. So, but over time, as your business grows and you really start to use these things, they become a way to attract people, because people see you and they say, we like your company. And it starts to come out in your marketing material for attracting candidates, but it's really helping you find the right people. It's helping you remove, and I'll tell you how you can do that in a minute here as well. Helps you fire and remove employees who are toxic to your culture or who are just bad fits. It helps you reward people, acknowledge, praise, and compensate. And I'll tell you, we have a lot of longtime clients, so we start to have a little bit less of this, but with new companies we work with, and I'm sure for any of you that are starting to use this right away, one of the biggest values of this is it makes you realize almost demoralizingly well, we have some people that are not the best fits. And I will tell you, Tani's been through this, I will tell you, I know Sharon's been through this. when you have people that are not the right fits, generally speaking, depending on what percentage of your company that is, that will absolutely stop you from growing no matter what you try and do around it. It is demoralizingly true. So we have a policy, especially at the high and the middle levels, that if somebody's the wrong fit, we give them 90 days and we basically acknowledge internally that during this time frame, we will likely not grow because they literally stop progress if they're at a high enough seat. And if they're in a low enough seat, they upset your clients. And that's almost worse. So you got to understand the core values are meant to tactically help you figure out who is a fit and who isn't. Way back when I started using EOS, this was the biggest reason I started actually using it, because it gave me this tool. And EOS calls it the people analyzer, and it was a great tool to use. So it helps you figure that out. But it's not just for firing, it's really for making sure that you hire and people absolutely love working with you. That's really the desire. But in the early days, it does end up being a lot about firing. So we created a tool that, once again, for our consulting company, works really, really well, and we call it the VDR tool. And it combines, if you work with EOS, you've heard of the GWC, which stands for Get It, Want It, Capacity, and you've heard of the People Analyzer. Those are great tools. We combine them for just ease and simplicity, and we call it the VDR test. And that is to have an amazing person, to have a really amazing person, they need to live your values, and I'll show you the tool in a second. They have to really want to work. Like, they have to be excited. Like, Tanya is excited about what she does, which I find to be amazing because I could not do what Tanya does, but she is really good at it. And that's awesome. So I get the question from clients, how do I motivate my people? You don't. They're either motivated or they're not. You can set them up in an environment that is exciting, that feels awesome, that they love, and you want to be an amazing employer, and you want to take care of them. But if they don't love what they do, they need to go find what they love. And if you try and make them love it and motivate them, you're going to have a problem. Now, the only caveat to that is if they're overworked or their environment sucks, and I know everybody in this call has been on that situation, you need to fix that because that's going to make somebody demotivated. But those are situational things that you can fix. So you really got to make sure that everybody has the desire to want to work for you, and you got to make sure they can get results. And I know it sounds stupid and basic, but if you look at your team member and you say, this person is just not getting results, there's a lot more to that part of the tool, but basically, do you think this person can get results or not? If the answer is, I don't think so, well, that's a problem. So now we're going to focus on just values. So core values are only one piece of the equation. They do not necessarily address performance because they address who the person is. And the other components, like I said, are desire. Do they really want to do the job, and results? Do they understand the job, and are they actually capable of doing it? So just think, when you think in the future, just think about, does this person VDR this thing? Do they live the values? Do they really want to work here? And do I think they can actually do it? And they have to pass all three. And here's a tool. If you use the People Analyzer, it's a little different. It's a little more basic. We find it to be a little less black and white in that as a whole, but it's the same basic idea. So what you do is you put your values at the top. Now, I said earlier, back here, you got to test your values. So go back to this slide here. So you got to test them with the VDR test. So before you go out and start using these values or even think about it, you got to make sure the senior leadership team actually passes these values. Okay? Which is kind of funny, right? But it's true. I've had this before when the leadership team has failed the value. Tom, just I think about your company, actually, I think we may even have 1 or 2 people that may have failed some of the original values.
Sure did.
So that's a problem, right? Like in our collegiate business, compliance is a major issue. So I thought about having an issue that was compliance and safety first. Here's the only problem. I failed that value. That's a problem. So we had to create a department for that, but it's not a core value because it's not who I am. So we realized how important it was, but it couldn't be a core value. So in this case, you put your core values up top on the top of the screen, and then you add in desire and you add in their ability to get results. So for us, we would have over here, help first, enjoy the ride, your business is our business, and work the plan. And then you ask yourself simply, do they live the value most of the time or almost all the time? They get a green, similar to EOS. Some of the time they live it, sometimes they don't. They get a yellow. This is actually red, yellow, and green is helpful during performance reviews too, but I'll get to that in a second. And then do they just not live the value most of the time? If you have a value you don't live most of the time, then the person gets a minus. So your values have to pass your senior leadership team, because ultimately you're going to use them on the rest of the company to use this as a filter. One of the members of our consulting team calls it a people filter. And that's exactly right. When you get your values right, and I know it's tough. Now, Schnack, I know for you in particular, it's tough because you got these people that get amazing results. And sometimes you look at it and you're like, these core values are right. And this person's got a red. And then you have some tough calls to make. And I deal with that a lot with businesses. And I will tell you that 90 times out of 100, that person ends up leaving.
Yeah, so like it's interesting. I just went through this thing quickly and I only came up with 4, but I picked 4 people and I said they all have relentless drive, positive attitude, deep expertise, and they're process driven.
Yeah, that's
that
awesome.
Really is like, that doesn't sound like very fun core values at all, but that's what it takes to be really friggin' good at this and make a lot of money at it.
Yeah. So hold that thought. First of all, that's freaking great work. That's
but
good.
it's not fun. Like, I don't want that going on the wall. We're relentlessly driven. We have a positive attitude. We have deep expertise is more of that's a value prop.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, considering we're on a freaking webinar and you had 15 minutes, I think you did a pretty damn good job. So I'd let those marinate for a while. And as a person knows you, you are a tremendously fun person. I would do it with your team. See if fun comes up. If it doesn't mean you can't have a ton of fun. It just means that may not be one of your core values. Notice, I like to have a lot of fun too. I love what I do. But we have enjoy the ride as ours, because our ride is often just crap. Like we're in a toilet, we're in its trough.
Yeah, our ride is fucking crazy. It's like, it's either you either get a $60,000 check or you get a please fuck off. You know.
Yeah,
like
exactly. So we picked enjoy the ride because it's a ride. And we want people to enjoy it when it's down and when it's up. So, but every company has different core values, and not every company has fun, and that's okay. It doesn't mean they're not fun, to be clear. It does not mean they're not fun. So in this test, you got to have a bar, not that kind of bar, not the kind that Tanya's surrounded by right now. Different kind of bar. And that bar is the minimum standard that you can accept for your team. Once again, this is relentlessly accurate. Relentlessly, like demoralizing. I had to make a lot of tough choices in my life of people that were actually okay, I thought were okay, but just didn't make the cut. First of all, you can't have any red boxes. You just can't. You can't have more than red boxes. Why can you not have a red box? Think about it. Think about it. Why can you not have a red box?
Not living the values.
Which creates, so what it ends up creating, I'm a tactical person, it ends up creating a toxic environment because you have somebody basically who does not live your value. So if you think about that, there's a difference between living your value, someone living your value most of the time, which is yellow, or at least even some of the time. 50-50 is yellow. 50-50 is not the end of the world. That's yellow. But somebody who deliberately does not live your value, you are telling people that by accepting that person, that's okay.
Here's a question.
You're going to have a problem with that.
Can you ever, so I have a guy that's good, smart, skilled, generally pretty fun.
Yeah.
But when he gets under pressure, he gets snarky, and I fucking hate it. Excuse me, Tanya, I don't even know you, and I'm cursing them like a sailor.
Please, if you knew me, you're in good company.
Not a delicate flower. I think you're covered.
She's not a delicate flower. So, the question is, like, I've had a couple. I've also known this dude for 30 years, 27 years, something like that. He used to be my boss. He was my first boss, like, you know, whatever. I can talk to him, and sometimes I've told him things like that, and he's like, "What? Snarky? You mean like, oh, I didn't mean to be like, you know, like it's almost like unconscious."
I'm gonna to keep us moving. I want you to hold that thought because I'm gonna have some time for that at the end, and I might actually cover that in a minute here.
All right.
So the answer to your statement is that, first of all, I've learned to keep this simple. Okay, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses in business. One of my weaknesses is if you get on my radar as somebody I think there's a problem in the business, I am after you. That's the way I am, and I get obsessive. And even if I think you're actually awesome, I will get so fixated that you screwed something up or that I got mad at you that I will just want you out. And then a lot of times I just I won't do it. So then I just pissed off at you. So now I'm keeping you and I'm upset with you. It's like the worst thing. So what I've learned is that one of the reasons that this tool, the People Analyzer for EOS, one of the things that taught me was I learned that's not good. There are either people that pass and people that don't. And if they pass, get out of your own way and shut up and move on. There are going to be people that have problems and issues, and there are things you don't like. There are things I don't like about all my team members. And there are certainly things about me that they don't like. But we pass. So I've learned you either pass or you fail. And the ones that pass get unconditional love. You may not always love them, but they're like your kids.
Yeah.
You have to love them. So your guy may fit
Go
into
to that next slide. Well, I want to see the rest of the test.
So, well, that's it, really. The bar, that and the bar. So that's the whole test. Now,
Your guy is snarky, and snarky, don't be snarky isn't one of your core values. It's just a personality trait.
Yeah.
It's something you're either going to deal with or not.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And that's pretty
No
much
more than
it.
40% yellow.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. So I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. So
Okay.
I'll tell you this. You can't have a red over here either. You cannot. They have to want to be here and they have to be able to get results. So I deal with that. In a small company, usually you have to move them on. In a bigger company, you can often put them in a different seat. You can do that, but if you don't have a lot of budget, you can't do that. You only got so much budget. So in a small company, if they don't have desire and results, if they're a red, it's a no-go. You can't stay. You can work with them, but not long because you can't afford it in a small business. Even in medium-sized business, and I'm talking, our typical sweet spot is companies that are below 50 million. We work with some that are much larger, but 50 million and below is where we try and live so we can get them over that mark. And that you can't blow budget on 1 or 2 or 3 people, the wrong people. So the bar is the minimum standard, no red boxes, no more than 40% yellows. And I should add this on here, no reds inside results and desire. Can't have it. So and ideally you want to look for team members who are green across the board, but once again, see back to the first thing, which is that you either pass or you don't. So I have some amazing employees that are just exceptional. I really do. But to me, we don't call them out like that. We just say they're all great. They all pass the tests. That's how we do it. And if they don't, I'm going to show you how we deal with it. So once you put everybody through the tests, you let the meeting simmer for 30 days for reaching your decision, as I said, and then you prepare a speech on how to best communicate these values to the rest of your organization. And I'll show you that speech here in a minute. So now we talk about rolling out your core values. You've done your 5 steps. I'm not even going to ask you to go through it because Schnauk just did it, and that was really freaking amazing. That was very impressive. So now you want to incorporate these things into the rest of your organization. So you have the 5 steps, and Anand, I know you came in late. So if you want to see some of this on a deck or you missed part of it, just ping me and we'll send you a recording. So first, you got to build your core values speech. Now, here's why this is important. You're going to be using this speech at a lot of different times in your business. You can use it for your clients, as Tanya mentioned. You can. Now, I am going to say the core values are not meant to be client-facing. But
Really?
your clients, they are not. No. The reason is because these things are already hard as it is. You start incorporating that they have to be good enough for your clients, you're going to have a real problem. So ideally, if you get them right, the clients will feel the result. Like I'm betting if I worked with your business, it feels a certain way. If you work with our business, it feels a certain way. If you complain, by the way, about our business, and I dive in and find out there's a problem with the core values fit, we're going to be all over that. Because that means you're not dealing with a homogenized business, which is what we're trying to create. So you can show your clients what they are. If any of our clients ask, as some of you are our clients, we will tell you what they are, but they're designed to create an amazing business so that our clients can then interact with that business, okay? So we will share our value speech with our clients if they ask. We probably will start sharing it more often, actually. We do a lot of webinars, so we probably will start sharing it more often. But the core value speech will help make it central to your company so that every team member knows them from memory and understand exactly what they mean. And I'm going to show you what one looks like here in a second. So in your speech, use consistent language and voice when creating your speech. Back up each one with 3 to 5 analogies or real stories that embody your message to create a flexible outline. Include your core values in your company's roadmap. Hold on, it's coming. There's one right here. This is actually EOS's core values speech. So EOS has 5. I picked EOS's because they actually have a really good core value speech, honestly. Every system has issues. This is not one of theirs. They do a great job with this. So their core values are be humbly confident, grow or die, help first, do the right thing, and do what you say. There's 5. And what you notice here is that there are little explainers underneath. So when you do your exercise initially, so John, you just went through your 4. You usually when you do this exercise, you have 15, 20 things on the board. This gives you a way of placing the stuff that didn't make the high level value. You can put it underneath of these things.
Yeah. I got it.
So like you could say, I can't remember what your 4 were, but you could say something like, don't be snarky. You're supposed to be enjoying this stuff. So don't be that. So, but not being snarky is not going to be one of your values, right? So
Right.
if you have a value like enjoy the ride,
positive attitude.
yeah, exactly. So one of ours in enjoy the ride is something in the effect of we have enjoy the ride. It's something like even when it's bad or something like that. So we're trying to preempt the fact that it's not, enjoy the ride even when it's bad, but we want to show what it actually means. So you can see here, no arrogance, know your stuff, be vulnerable. Now this core value speech, and this is a big thing you got to do. I'll hold it off in a second, but you need this thing to be right, okay? You need it to be right. And it can take a few passes. If you want to do it and send it to me, I'll review it. I got tons of them on file. You ever want to see another one? But this is an example of a great one. They did a really nice job with it. So then we start using that speech and we get into communication. And here are some ways to communicate these core values. 1, you want to train every employee on core values until you know them from memory. You want to incorporate the core values into your onboarding. So I just showed you that core value speech. So we only have, this small group here today. So I'll go a little tangent here. So what you should be doing is having that little core value speech printed, and you should be able to put that in front of a candidate when you do your job interview. All right. And here's how you do it. You put it there, you read the value, you read the thing. Don't say anything. Don't go off on a tangent because you're all excited about your core values and you love yourself and you love the company so much. Just say, here's our core value. Stop. I would like you to react to that and let me know what that means to you. And then you read the next one. Read the core value. Just as it's written, don't get all excited. I'd like you to react and tell me what that means to you. What you're looking for is people that are passionate about things that you're passionate about. So don't try and make it easy for them. It's one of the biggest problems I see in interviews is people try and make it easy for the candidate. It's really a problem. You don't want to sit there and make them sweat, but you want to see them at their best, which means that they're working for you in that interview, not vice versa. Now, there is a component where you have to work for them in the interview too, but it's not in the questions phase. It's in the selling the position phase. John, this is your business. You know all this, right? So in this thing, you just want to sit there and say, look, we get another value, it's work the plan. What does that mean to you? Well, that sounds like a great value. I understand that. What does that mean to you? You just sit there. If they're good, they're going to have stories. They might have some questions, but usually your speech can clarify it. You're going to know by the end of that speech if you think this is a great candidate or not. It's that simple. And what you'll do as a person interviewing is you will try and kid yourself on that because you want hires. This is where people blow it, is they say, I need to make a hire this quarter, and they find somebody that doesn't pass their core values. I would tell you, work with somebody like John, one of our people internally, your own recruiters, or Indeed, a lot, whatever, get a crap load of candidates and run them through the core values process in the interview itself. Evaluate potential new hires for a core values fit using the VDR tool. You can do it right in the interview. Most of our clients have their questions in their interview aligned around this tool to make sure that they absolutely love the job. Call out people living core values. So this looks like when you have a company meeting, you recommend you do it at least once a quarter, that you're calling people out and saying, this person's amazing, this person's amazing. And it's as simple as this. I like to call out John Schnauk for work the plan. This happens in a state of the company Zoom right now, or in person, if you do it in person. I like to call out Tanya for being held first. And that's it, once a quarter. If you have 20 people, you can do it in 3 minutes. Do not make it complicated, because complicated is not scalable. Don't feel the need to tell stories. If you have a 1-second story, give it. If you have a 5-minute story, save it. But the reason for doing these shout outs once a quarter is because it makes them memorize them. It solidifies your team and these positive things. And over time, it ingrains them in there, and they will start to call each other out for these on a constant basis. And then eventually, it's kind of like herd immunity with the vaccine. You start to get herd core values. They talk about them so much that they're making themselves work. And the quarterly call outs will help you do that. You can call people out anytime you want, but quarterly is the best rhythm.
Anybody ever see anybody just do it by success? Like, who made a placement and
you can do it.
Body to X, Y, and Z, you know, or this particular value, and this is how he did it.
So in our system, we have that once a week. You do that, period. You can do that. It's not a core values call out, but it's very useful. So we call that headlines, you know, or updates.
Yeah, like every time somebody makes a placement, I push a broad reach all message.
That's awesome.
Say,
this is a little bit different though, because this is about the people, not the results. So it can be, sometimes you do call out to people that aren't getting results, or people that are getting amazing results. That's not the priority. The priority is that they're amazing at what they do, and you know they're going to keep getting results. Yeah. So it's as simple as, I want to call you out for process. I want to call you out for this. You don't have to even elaborate.
Yeah.
You know, I've been through this so many times in my own company. I would tell you, you know, I don't think any of you guys are any different. Anybody calls me out, it's like a moment of pride. Still. And I do this crap for a living. So it's a really once a quarter, it's a rhythm. It reminds what your values are, and it's exciting for the team. Home stretch here. So what do you do if somebody's below the bar?
Eric, I'm backed up to like, I have a vendor meeting at 11. I just sent them a note, said I'm almost done. But
isn't it be down to conversation of Tanya and I and Sharon listening in the background? Is that what we're gonna have?
Sorry.
Are you trying to leave for 11:30?
Just booked an hour. I booked too tight. Sorry.
You, whoever that is, you cancel that person. You stay here for the rest of this webinar.
Priorities.
27 minutes.
I want to. I would love to catch up with you. I want to talk about like maybe a business relationship too at some point.
All right, send me an email.
All right.
This is going to be recorded. So, Tanya, this part you must stay on. I cannot talk to a blank screen because we are recording this.
I'm not leaving you.
Coming on us.
I'm
will you
here.
push this email out to me afterwards so I can see the last?
Yeah, somebody will. Yeah.
All right.
It won't be me, John. I actually have no skills. So somebody will do it though.
Somebody will. All right. Nice to meet you, Tanya. See ya.
Nice meeting you, John.
Hey, brother. You kicking ass. See you, buddy. All right, Tanya, you're like old hat at this too.
Right?
Tanya, I'm gonna let you run the rest of the slides.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
I'm gonna run it like normal anyway because it's important. So what happens if somebody's below the bar? Any box on the value, desire, and results is red. Any more than 40% is yellow. That is typically the bar. Okay, so you can't have any reds anywhere, especially in desire and results. But you know, but you can't have them anywhere really at all. And if they do that, and Tanya, I think you've had some. Oh, I know you've had some of those people. Yeah, they go into the 3-strike rule.
Correct.
3-strike rule. We struggle with this one too, but we use it. I will say after years of doing this stuff, we started to officially use it. We started using it with HR and even with people that we loved, that we knew that there might be a longer term issue, and we started to document it through using the strikes. So the 3-strike rule, strike 1, discuss your expectations with that person. Sit down, where are they off? This is where you stand. This is where you're struggling. This is where we see it. Ask them if they see it. Give them 30 days to see improvements and be specific about it. Here's where we'd like to meet again in 30 days. If we see an improvement, then you're good to go. If we don't see improvement, 30 days later is strike 2. Rediscuss another 30 days. At this point, usually they quit. Then they go into strike 3. If there's no improvement, the person must go. I questions a lot on this one, like, what do you do if someone's had a strike a long time ago? The strike stays is the answer. And I have to tell you that most times I see that situation, usually the person ends up leaving. It can be years it can take. It doesn't mean that the whole journey is terrible, but ultimately these people end up leaving. And I had that happen with a really key person of mine once. And he had 3 strikes. He had 2 strikes, and then I just said, I think it's time for you to go. And he'd been around for many years.
So that's actually just came up the other day. Somebody just asked that during an onboarding. They asked, so if I get a strike at one point and then don't get anything for like 2 years, but then get another one, is that my second one at that point? I said, that's a great question. I've never actually had that come up before. Usually it's a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. The answer is yes.
Okay.
And the reason is, and like I said, I've lived it. I think I've even lived it a couple times. It's because these are the people that are usually they're good enough, but they're marginal. And at a high level, you gotta be really careful with that because they can prevent, this is a topic for a different webinar, but one of the worst people to cut, the hardest people to cut are the ones that are good enough. And Tony, you probably know what I mean. Like,
yep. And
especially as you grow, because good enough at a certain point is no longer good enough. And so the reason the 3 strike rule still pans out is because I can say, look, you were struggling a little bit before, you've definitely seen a lot of great stuff, but now the company's bigger. I don't have another seat for you. And I think that behavior is now it's just not matching anymore and we're getting bigger. So it's more amplified. So this has a tendency to allow you to scale with the system. How do you implement with your current employees? Analyze your leadership team first. The step will validate your core values. You've already done that by this point, likely. But the same thing with your leadership team, it applies to them first. And then you go into analyzing all your employees, have the leadership team analyze members of their departments. Leaders should arrange one-on-one discussions with their team members to discuss the results of the analysis. And you should really just do that. We do it once a quarter. We actually use this tool really constantly, but we do it officially once a quarter, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But it's I don't know, Tanya. So when you're using this tool, or you guys say, do they pass it? Do they pass? Is that what you're saying? They pass the people analyzer in your case?
Right. Yeah. We're doing it on a quarterly basis, quarterly conversations. We do the people analyzer and the GWC like together in one.
Yep.
I made our own people analyzer and, core values on this side, GWC on this side every quarter.
Awesome. That's perfect. Okay. So there you go. Like I said, you run the damn day. So you use this for quarterly performance reviews, use it as a metric to objectively measure performance of all the members of the organization, including yourself. We have the work to plan value, and my staff calls me out on that sometimes because sometimes I'm extremely swamped and it's still an excuse. Even though it may be a good one, it's an excuse and I may become a yellow at that point. So you really got to hold yourself honest and don't be afraid to be analyzed by your people. The assessment can lead to improvement. I've experienced that many times. Personnel problems, analyze your difficult employees, use 3 strike rules necessary. Another question I get a lot is, can I use this anytime? The answer certainly is yes. We will pull people aside and just say, look, you're not living X, Y, and Z core value, or you're not getting results or whatever that is. It can be mid-quarter or whatever it is. And then we put them through a strike process right then and there. Or of course, you can always just cut somebody. Now I got the Australians listening here and they have different rules. So make sure you stick with your HR policies and procedures, and the 3 strike rule, every HR person will absolutely love. It gets everything documented on a sheet of paper, but as a whole, you can also use this at any time. So in summary, and I got one more slide, it's a little bit of a bonus after this. Core values are the foundation of your company culture. It is who you are. And when you get it right, and you have the right other stuff, which is a topic for a different day, the other stuff, which is the value proposition, you have the right strategy, you're performing well in the market, and your clients know that you are valuable because your value proposition is strong. If I had to pick something that you can have in your business that would be amazing, if you can have amazing people and combine that with an amazing value proposition, you're in really good shape, because that means that your product is good and so are your people that are delivering it. And they'll usually figure out operations. I mean, we obsess over operations in our business and strategy and finance, but the people though, my coach always reminds me, 90% of the game actually is people. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're in a service business.
And it is tricky to get everybody on board with that, I think.
Yes, it's very, very difficult. And the other issue with this is of course that it's very difficult to both love your employees and also make difficult decisions that need to be made as you grow your business. That conflict there is what prevents a lot of companies from growing. And it's a tough one, but there's just no choice in it. You have to make those tough decisions. So they are the guiding principles that can be used to guide the company decision-making, evaluate team members, and define what your company stands for. Now, so there are a couple people on here that are clients. I thought we were going to be here today. They're signed up anyway. But for you, Tanya, how's hiring for you guys? Are you guys crushed? Is it bad for hiring, or is it okay?
It's not too bad, actually. We're doing the referrals.
Yeah.
So the new hires we did bring back after, COVID, we did bring back some old people. Not everybody, the people did not come back, were people who were not always living the core values. So that made the
Yeah.
decision very easy on who to bring
Yes.
back.
Good.
Hiring has been, referral based. We are running into issues with, hiring for shoppers for sure.
Yes.
Recruiting for
Okay.
shoppers. Mhm.
Yep. You and the rest of the world.
It's
So
a difficult industry for sure.
very difficult. And really anybody in service business, I know Sharon's still there. She's having the same. John's dealing with this a lot. Marie dropped off. She's dealing with it too. So hopefully they'll get to see the slideshow and see this. So it's now harder than ever to find and keep great talent. So we work with this problem literally daily. And so I get the question a lot, how do you deal with this? I will tell you, in our commercial business, which is where we would have hiring problems, we don't actually have many hiring problems. And there's some reasons for that. It's not easy. I don't want to say it's easy, but we don't have the chronic hiring problems a lot of people have. So we do live by some rules that are not easy and that have helped us. And a lot of this is, this is part of the defining your culture workshop. But this is, in my opinion, these bullets are a lot about what that also means. So first of all, people don't generally leave places where they love to work and where they think they're being compensated fairly. Generally, there are some exceptions, these days, depending on the person, people are getting big numbers to go work someplace else. But even then, I've still found that that is the exception, not the rule. And this is for line employees too. People, it's all easy to sit in these webinars and just think about management and leadership and even middle management. The reality is that's not what we're talking about. People as a whole don't leave where they love to work if they think they're getting compensated fairly and they love to work there. So then the next one, to me, is a given. If you and your leaders don't truly love their team in a genuine way, I would expect them to leave, especially right now. They're being wooed. I talked to one of our top salespeople yesterday. I had a long call with him. He's doing incredibly well here. And he said, Eric, I'm going to be honest with you. I got people calling me right now that are offering me $50,000, $60,000 more to work there.
The same thing is happening to me. I mean, over the last, I would say 3 months, I've had 4 different offers. I haven't been in hospitality. I've been here for 4.5 years now. And there's still, 4 offers in the last 2-3 months.
Don, you can't go anywhere.
I know. I'm still here. I am just like a sucker for the punishment.
So that's common. So this guy's been with us for, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years. And he said, and I asked him, and he would leave. He wouldn't leave if he was not, if he didn't feel, and I know you would too. He would leave if it wasn't the right place. He's a tough guy. He's firm. When he has issues, he comes to us with the issues in a very firm way, which I respect. Mm-hmm. And he said, Eric, I'm gonna tell you, I don't leave because at first I'm gonna be stuck working in an office, which I don't want to do. I'm gonna have less freedom, which I don't like. And I have a lot of excitement still around my compensation here. I know I have a long way to go. And I honestly just love working here. So if I go work someplace else, I'm gonna trade that. And it's too much of a risk for me. So I know I'm gonna be okay. Yeah, that's it, right?
It's getting everybody to feel that same way because I agree with him 100%. And that's exactly why. Yeah. That's why I'm still here.
And that's why you gotta love your people. So I see people that are leaving people right now, and it happens. Don't get me wrong, it happens to us too. But a lot of it is, they just don't feel the love, and they need to feel that love. These people are working for you. It's a gift. Hopefully you look at it like it's a gift, because it is. It's an honor to have any employee ever work for you, and you got to look at it that way.
Right.
So quarterly check-ins are now a must. I'm glad to hear you doing, which is not surprising to me. And I would even say, if not more often. And I would do it with blunt, real, genuine questions, especially to the line employees that you love and you want to make sure you keep around. I've done it recently with some administrative team that we've had that they're awesome people. You just ask them, how do you like it here? You see yourself staying around longer? And if not, what are the issues? What can we do better? You really want to ask them blunt, real questions that you may not like the answer to. Why are you job hunt? Some people will say, I'll sense that they're just not engaged. Are you disengaged? Is it the work? Is life okay? Can we help? Are you job hunting? You really got to right now ask genuine questions. And if they're job hunting, ask, no problem. I appreciate letting me know. Is there a gap here that we can fill in? If there's not, and we can't make the company what it should be for their employees, but we can have open conversations that prevent us from getting surprised and from allowing us to make sure that we create the most awesome workplace that we can.
Now, quick question on that is, do you have your, just the direct, one level up managers doing all of the quarterly check-ins? Are they being done by HR or?
So we have the managers doing them.
Okay.
We make people deal with their direct reports.
Yeah.
And if there's any issue at all, honestly, any issue, and people say it's not scalable, but we have a lot of people. I do it.
Yeah.
We
have them being done by direct management as well. Whoever their direct report is,
Awesome.
that's who's doing them.
And we have a general code inside all the companies that if we lose somebody that we like and we didn't see it coming, that's bad.
Right.
Like, that is not, as a manager, that is not going to be your best day. You know, it happens. People are human. I've lost people too that I wasn't expecting to lose. But we call the manager and say, first, I'm sorry to hear that. Second of all, what the hell are you doing? Why'd you not know this? And they'll say, well, somebody, blah, blah, blah. And we did it wrong. You didn't see it. You didn't care enough to see it coming. You can't have these surprises. And it's and we're tough on that. So if they have an issue and they worry, they will call me and they'll say, I'm worried about this person. And I'll either coach them through it or I'll do it myself. So you got to really get those genuine questions. You got to understand as much as they need to get the results and the people analyzer and the BDR and whatever you're doing with these tools, you got to make sure that they are great people, but you got to make sure that you're just as good to them, if not better. And then pay. Oh man, it's so tough right now because you want to try and pay people more money because the market's so tough. I will tell you that our philosophy on this is that generally speaking, as a whole, and you can't always undo it because a lot of this is backwards, ideally you want to pay above market in terms of your base. And I mean the base, and I mean like not a ton, like 10% would be nice above market if you're capable of in your business model. Ideally, if there's a bonus program, I like the bonus program usually to be much higher than market because it doesn't cost you anything and you can give away more of your upside. I like that a lot. You get more, they get more, give away a little bit more of it than most people would. Employees tend to love that level of opportunity. So this makes a big deal. Now, if you're already not paying above market, this can be difficult because you don't want to back pay the whole company. So if you got 30 people right now, now you have COVID adjusted problems. If you can afford to adjust everybody up in a fixed cost, then this is a good opportunity to do it. But if you can't, do not do it because your fixed costs are going to be too high. So in that case, right now, we recommend doing some kind of variable bonuses, sign-on bonuses, retention bonuses, any kind of bonuses that are variable that'll get you through what might be an unprecedented time or what might be the new normal of pay. We don't know yet. So make it variable if you can, but as a whole, try and function on the philosophy of paying above market and much higher than market with bonuses. Constant ongoing affirmation and appreciation. It's very easy, especially for me, honestly. I can be very hard driving and I want this and that, but I try and focus more on positives and recognizing that. That's going to also go create retention and then create an environment of both accountability and support. They need to get things done, but they need to know that they have unlimited support from the company, wherever they need to help them achieve that. And then trust must be given. And trust we define as being constant, open, and honest communication. And they should feel okay quitting. They should feel okay telling you there's an issue. They should feel okay giving you different company direction than they think that you should be going. Doesn't mean you're going to need to change anything necessarily, but that level of openness and honesty are going to help put them in control. It's very tough being an employee. They have no control as a whole. It's very, very difficult to be an employee. That's one of the reasons I'm not an employee. So because I'm not an employee and I don't like not being in control, I have to respect that it's difficult to be an employee.
Right.
So I've always remembered that. And the way you give an employee a control is you allow them to have a voice at all times. And if you do those things, your retention will be high. And, don't use COVID. Whoever's watching this, don't use COVID as or the current administration and people giving out unemployment. Yes, all that sucks for employers in a lot of ways. But don't let that be an excuse. You're going to have to adapt. So somebody's always finds a way, and that needs to be all of us.